Today, I want to be talking about something that I think is close to a lot of people's hearts, and that is the idea of what is my purpose? What am I here for? What am I actually called to do? And of course, we're going to be talking about that through the lens of scripture. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Emma Van Grieken. I am a Christian author and artist, and I share videos about faith and family alongside my own author journey, books that I've read, adventures that I've had, and mindset musings like this one on creativity. So if that is your thing, hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a video. First of all, I think the idea of purpose is a little bit misleading, and I've shared my thoughts on this channel before. I think the concept of purpose when it comes to a human being is limited because purpose seems to have with it this connotation of utility. How can I be used? What am I best used for? What am I meant to accomplish? And I think that's totally fair. I think accomplishment is built into our sense of meaning making as human beings, but at the same time, human beings are incredibly complex, and our purpose is going to change moment to moment based on whatever it is that the situation requires. For example, the purpose of my shoe is to keep my foot protected, and the purpose for a shoe existing is because pointy objects exist in the world that I could step on. The purpose of a spoon is to lift soup to my mouth, and it exists because soup needs to be eaten. But the purpose of a human being, depending on the situation, could be to do the dishes as best as you can, to finish an administrative task on the computer, to listen to a loved one. Our purpose changes, our utility changes, we can be used and we can be effective, and we can accomplish many different things in many different situations, in many different seasons of life. That's why I personally prefer the concept of calling. What are we called to do? 1 Peter 4, 10-11 says, "Each of you is to use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as stewards of God's grace in various forms." Every single one of us has spiritual gifts, and this is something that Paul talks about as well. What I also think goes really well with this is something that appears in Ephesians 4:1, which says, "Therefore, as a prisoner of the Lord, I urge you to walk in a manner that is worthy of the calling which you have received." So we have two different things here. We have the fact that every single one of us has a unique spiritual gift that we are meant to use to serve the world, that only we can give. We were uniquely designed by God to serve this purpose, to fulfill this calling, and to carry this out to build the kingdom here. But at the same time, we have this command to walk in a manner that is worthy of that calling. So what does that actually look like? This is where I think that it's so incredibly funny that so many creatives get distracted by their creativity and forget to take care of themselves in the normal world. We struggle to balance creativity and normal life because we forget that they're two halves of the same thing. They're not separate. When Ephesians is telling us here to walk in a manner that is worthy of the calling that we've received, Paul isn't talking about walking in a manner that is worthy of the creative calling that we've received. He's not telling us to act like an artist or act like an author or act like a business owner. What he's referencing here is that we're called to act like Christ. That is the calling that we primarily have. And just to simplify what this actually looks like, it looks like Galatians 5:22-23, which talks about the fruits of the Spirit. When you are genuinely acting from a place that is from God and not from yourself, not for some worldly reason like wealth and recognition, your behavior is going to produce the fruits of the Spirit. And the fruits of the Spirit are things like love, kindness, goodness, faith, peace, and self-control. If your behaviors are not producing those things, then they're not from God. It doesn't matter what your calling is. It doesn't matter how much you feel called to do that. If your calling is compromising who you are in this world, then you need to set it down and you need to ask yourself why it is that you feel like you're called to do that in the first place, and get grounded once again in what it is that you're actually doing this for. This has been one of the biggest mindset shifts for me as a creator who has felt very called to write a book my entire life and is always producing something creative, but I'm also a mom, and I have a family, and I have a church, and I like to take care of all of these things, and I like to have a beautiful environment to be in, and I don't want to constantly fight to keep up and maintain a balance, and I don't want to rely on inspiration and motivation, and I don't want to have to push myself to get started. I want to just be in the flow. So these pieces of scripture here, 1 Peter 4, 10 to 11, talking about how each of us has a spiritual gift that we are meant to serve. Ephesians 4, 1, talking about how we need to walk in a manner that is worthy of that calling by embodying Christ, by embodying the fruits of the Spirit. And Galatians 5, 22 to 23, that's actually talking about those fruits of the Spirit. These things have been so incredibly helpful for me. When we think in this framework of noticing the fruit of our labor, it's very easy to see the boundary between pouring into something meaningful that God's called us to do versus overexerting ourselves and burning ourselves out because we want it for some worldly reason. I have had seasons of creativity where I'm sprinting in my book. I am just writing as fast as I can. I'm in a season like that right now. I'm doing lots and lots of editing because I need to get things done for a deadline. But at the same time, with these pieces of scripture, I'm mindful of the fact that if my work is not producing those fruits of the Spirit, I need to stop it as soon as I see that. It doesn't matter what our goal is. It doesn't matter what ambition we are striving towards. If we're neglecting to act in embodiment with the truth of the word. And so this is what I think every artist and creator and entrepreneur and parent and person needs to know, but particularly people that feel like they have a creative mission on their heart that they really want to accomplish at the same time that they're taking care of everyday life. I think the really hard truth is that there are seasons of life where we are meant to pour into just one thing. There are seasons of life where something is going to come first and it's not necessarily going to be what we want. Maybe it's going to be the fact that we need to focus on maintaining our home and finding our better routines when it comes to creativity so that we can do those things faster, and we need to take care of our family more than we need to focus on creativity. And then there are going to be seasons where you have more time for creativity, where you find new ways to fit it in, but you're not going to find a way to incorporate them into your everyday life and to integrate them together unless you're focused on the fruits of the Spirit first. It will always feel like you are fighting against yourself, like you're fighting against one thing or the other, if you're not focused on the fruits of the Spirit and you're just focused on how much you can get done. Hey baby, I just need like 2 minutes to close this video. So when it comes to balancing all of these different aspects of your life, focus on the root first. Get grounded in the gospel. Focus on producing those fruits of the Spirit before anything else and following after the behavior that's already been set for you by the example of Christ, and you will be able to follow your calling just fine.